So React got recently hacked. Imagine anyone can run any arbitrary code on your server just by sending a simple request. Here I have a simple Next.js test server running on port 3000. Here is my script that will be sending the request. So I will be running the request now. As you can see, I was able to execute this command calculator.exe just by sending this malicious request. This vulnerability is called React to Shell and it impacted all the major versions of React. It has a severity score of 10, that is the highest severity score you can get. It is a remote code execution vulnerability, so anyone can run anything on the server. So the vulnerability was in React Server Action Flight Protocol implementation. In React, a client component can call a function that is run on the server. These functions are called React Server Actions. How this vulnerability works, there are like three main concepts you need to know. The first is that the client sends data to the server in the form of chunks. So the data that needs to be sent to the server is serialized, right? So it needs to be sent over network. So it needs to be converted into a form that can be sent on the network. On the server deserializes this data so that it can work with it. Server converts the data into objects. So the data that is sent on the server looks like this. The data is sent in the form of numbered chunks, and the data is sent in the format of multi-part form data. Here the numbered chunks can reference another chunks as well. So here if you see, there is a special notation $1. Here we are saying that go to chunk 1 and take the value from there. And if you see in the chunk 1, we have a name property, and here in the name property the value we are saying that go to number 2 and take the property fruit name value from the number 2 chunk. So here the traversal is possible as well. Here referencing as well as traversal of property is possible, and on the server side the data will be converted into this kind of object. On the server side, the deserializer didn't check that if the property that we are trying to reference existed on the object itself or not. So because of that reason, we could reach to the function constructor. And reaching a function constructor is trivial in JavaScript. Once you reach the function constructor, you can create functions from strings, and those functions can be called. Here I have an example. So if you can see that we can reach function constructor like this. So this is basically similar to this code where we have this function constructor and we are passing this string, and that function can be called. So once attackers got access to the function constructor, they needed a way to execute the function, and they utilized one trick in JavaScript. Any object in JavaScript which has a then method is treated as a promise, and that promise can be awaited. Here I have this example where I have a simple object where I have only this then method, and I will await this object and I will get the value of it. If you can see that this is a way to execute these functions or call these functions. So attackers utilized this trick. Now using all these techniques, attacker can craft a fake chunk that can be sent on the server. So this is a crafted chunk. Here this is our prototype chaining, and if you see, there is one piece that is b0. So this reference to blob, and when it will be resolved to this form data.get method. And here we are going to the function constructor, and to execute the code we need to pass it in the prefix, and here this prefix we are passing this string, and anything that we are passing here will be executed on the server. So what attackers did while targeting these vulnerabilities, they installed crypto mining tools on the servers, vulnerable servers, so that they can mine cryptocurrencies. And who are the resources? Many also installed tools like Silver. These are like command and control agents that can be installed on the server, and later the attacker can control these servers for their own purpose. Like these servers can later become part of botnet for DDoS attacks. AWS also found traffic from Chinese nexus that was targeting this vulnerability. So the impact area of this vulnerability is huge. Uh, Not only React, Next.js was also vulnerable to this vulnerability, and this vulnerability is patched now. So update your React and Next.js versions to the latest versions. So while making this video, two more vulnerabilities were found in the React. One is denial of service with high severity, and the other is source code exposure. So if we see the denial of service vulnerability, it is very simple, and it is in the same code base, same flight protocol. Uh, and if you see, what we can do is we can simply send a request, and it will make our server lag and completely die, and no one can then use our application. If you see, my server is running on port 3000. I have my next application running, and if I send this request, my server will stop responding. So if you see, it is still loading, and this is a denial of service attack. So this is really simple here. The same concept, like if here we have chunk 1 that is referencing, here we have chunk 0 that is referencing chunk 1, and the chunk 1 is again referencing chunk 0. So this will go into an infinite loop. React has patched this as well, so update your React versions. So the another vulnerability is source code exposure that is found in the server functions. Here you can expose your server function code to the attackers. This attack again targets the same flight protocol. Here this server function has this code where it is making a database connection, and it is creating a user with that parameter that we are passing, and again here in the response it is returning me the same parameter. So what attackers are doing here is, suppose I have this server function, and here attackers are passing the same server function id. Basically they are doing server function, and in the parameter they are passing again the same function, and on the server this code is like deserialized and stringified. And once it is stringified, right, the function, when it is stringified, it will gives us the code of the function, and this way the code can be exposed to the attackers. If you were having any of your secrets hard coded, like secret keys to make database connections, it can be very risky. But if you were using environment variables, you are good. uh, this vulnerability is also patched, so update your React and Next.js version. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe for more videos. Share with your friends.